how would you encourage other students, I guess, to connect their studying with God, relating it back to God? But then also, yeah, how would you just generally encourage students during this COVID-19 time? You could even speak to like high school seniors that are going into college. I mean, I'm sure you have stuff to relate to that still. What would you have to say?
I guess it starts with the heart behind studying. Like, why do we study? Why do we go to school? What's the purpose behind all the hours that we put in for homework, for testing, for whatever? And like, do we go to school to get a good GPA or to get a degree? But so I think that what God desires is more of our heart, not exactly our grades or our degree. And God desires that we work for His glory, and that includes our studying. So God created our minds to think, right? And He gave us a brain to use. So if God gave us a brain to use, and if He created our minds to think, then studying definitely helps with that thinking in our brain. And so God has placed us in different schools to learn about more of who God is and what His creation is. And through that, we're able to see and be more in awe of who God is. So I think that a lot of students, it's really easy to blur the lines between doing school for ourselves and doing it for God, because it's not something that you can see. So then it's easy to say that, oh, I just go to school because I want to glorify Christ. It's like that thing that you say all the time, like, oh, glorify God through going to school. But then oftentimes it's kind of hard to see that, because it's hard to find practical ways of studying for Christ. So then I think that one way that students can definitely connect Christ to studying is by remembering our purpose for studying. Like, why do we do the things you do? Why do you do homework? Why do you read? Why do you study? Stuff like that. And many people would say that's to pass my class. And I think that's a valid reason. And that's good, because I don't want people to fail in college.
Right.
But I think that the better reason is because you get more of Christ. So then I think that through studying and learning about different subjects, you get to further comprehend the fullness of God. And the fact that school even exists is a testament to God's grace and His knowledge. So if you think about it, without God, there is no world, and there is no knowledge, and there is no intellect. And I think that God has created this world with all of its intricacies and complexities, because through that we can be able to understand more of how who this complex God is, right? So whatever subject we study, it's hard. Math is hard, bio is hard, chem is hard, English is hard, whatever is hard.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard because we're finite human beings. So when we reflect on our studies, and if that reminds us of who this powerful God is, then I'm sure that God is glorified. And so when we praise God and we're more in awe of God, then He is glorified. So when we understand the depth of this world and the coolness of this world, we can actually come back to the depth of the gospel. Because when we see how powerful and vast God is, we realize that this God is the God who loves us, and that this is the God that saved us. And He purchased us and gave us adoption as sons and daughters of Himself. And so when we realize that this God is the God of the gospel, and this gospel saves, then we realize that the efforts that we put into our schoolwork need to be for Christ, because it's only because of Christ that we're able to even live and do school today. So definitely when we study and when we go to school, we can connect it back to Christ through the heart of our attitude. The attitude of our heart. Either way works.
Yeah.